Yo, what's going on? It's the MMA Analyst, and I'm doing my preview for UFC 88 Breakthrough. Great card. On paper, it's one hell of a card with some really nice matchmaking. Um, if the main event were like something like Chuck versus like Shogun, or something with a little more sizzle, I would definitely say that on paper this is one of the top three cards in the UFC of the year. It's a really awesome event. I'm hyped for many of these fights, and there's going to be a lot of moves made by by the UFC after this night of fights. A lot of questions will be answered, and really, I think they got the name right. Breakthrough. There are many opportunities for fighters to break through and make a big splash for themselves. And, really the whole main card is a situation of potential breakthroughs. Anyways, let's get right down to it. I'm going to start with the main event. Chuck the Iceman Liddell versus Rashad Evans. Sugar Rashad Evans. The Iceman, 21-5. Former light heavyweight champion of the UFC. He fought in the UFC since 1998, back at UFC 17. He's racked up wins against Randy Couture, 2 wins against Ortiz, 2 against Bob Lou. He avenged his first loss ever in MMA. He avenged that against Jeremy Horn. He beat Vitor Belfort, Kevin Randleman, Guy Mezger. In Pride, he beat Mezger and Overeem. He's got what I consider to be, one of his most important and definitely his most heartbreaking win for me, which was his 15-minute war against Vanderlei Silva. And, of course, we all know, Rampage Jackson is his kryptonite. Lost to Rampage twice. And Keith Jardine was one of the biggest surprises in what I called the year of the upsets. But yeah, he's one of the best at 205. He's looking to prove that he still is. He still is that upper echelon of 205 fighter. He's 1-2 since 2007. He looks to basically recapture that light heavyweight title, and a win over Rashad Evans will put him in title shot contention, whether you think he deserves it or not. Basically, if he beats Rashad, he gets the title shot. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. First, he's gonna have to beat Sugar Rashad Evans, undefeated in 14 outings. He's 13-0-1. This will be his biggest and most important fight by far. A win over Chuck, will this secure a Ultimate Fighter winner title bout, between himself and Forrest Griffin? Probably not. But I'm sure he's not worried about that. What he needs to be worried about is Chuck's consistency against wrestlers. Rashad, he's defeated Bisping, Bonner, a nasty head kick to Salmon, Lambert, Holger, Imes, and this is all while he was in the UFC. What you'll notice about that list is that none of his opponents were top 10 competitors, and definitely none were as dangerous as Chuck Liddell. Now, Evans is coming into this fight 10 years younger than Chuck and also undefeated, so he's got a lot to lose and even more to gain. His keys to victory will be most likely securing that takedown. Just to get in there, he's going to have to worry about that KO power that Chuck has on his back leg. He can just back up, bam, hit you with it. You know how I can't see my hands, but he got his hand, bam. He can do it, and that's what he does. And Rashad's going to have to watch out for that for the entire fight, however long it lasts. He's going to have to try and take Chuck down. That's tough enough. Then if he does get Chuck down, then he's going to have to try and do something. I mean, Rashad Evans has only had 3 KOs in his career, and one of them happened from the mount. So it's not like this is going to be a stand-up match. This is going to be a wrestler trying to take down his opponent and trying to do something when he, gets on the ground. But what do I see happening? I don't see Rashad winning by KO or TKO. That's for sure. And I really don't think he can take Chuck down. But if he did take Chuck down, or if he does take Chuck down, I don't think his ground and pound is nearly what it needs to be to either, 1, keep Chuck on his back, or 2, stay active enough that the ref won't stand up the fight. Like, whenever there's a situation of Chuck Liddell versus a wrestler, unless that wrestler is Brock Lesnar, I'm going with Chuck. I hope that doesn't cause an uproar about, I think Brock Lesnar can beat Chuck. I'm just saying Brock's a big-ass dude. If Chuck comes in at 205 and Brock Lesnar comes in at 265, I mean, damn. But anyways, let's just keep moving forward. Let's try and not, stay in that right there. Let's just try and keep moving forward. Rashad has a strange stand-up game, and he's not most aggressive. We know Chuck isn't aggressive. Like, he doesn't come at you. He's a counter-puncher. So I see a round 2 knockout for the Iceman. And then right away, maybe even before the end of the year, getting that title shot. If he doesn't get the title shot before the end of 2008, then they're definitely going to put him on the Super Bowl weekend card. P.S., I am pulling for Rashad. I hope he proves me wrong. And keeping in theme with the title of the event, or the name of the event, beating Chuck is a breakthrough for anybody. Unless, of course, after you face Wanderlei Silva and you get rape choked and beat unconscious, where you stay unconscious in a dead-like fashion for like 3 to 4 minutes. Anyways, most likely KO of the night. Alrighty, next up we got Rich Franklin versus Matt Hamill. Rich Franklin, 23 wins, 3 losses, 1 no contest. Former UFC middleweight champion, wins over Luder, Okami, McDonald, Loazo, Quarry, Tanner Twice, Ken Shamrock, Rivera, Stout, Eastman. He really has beat nearly the whole middleweight division. At least the people he could have beat at the time, he beat them. And then he caught that certain case of arachnophobia. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anderson Silva. The Spider sent his ass to a plastic surgeon twice. And really messed his stuff up. I mean, he can't keep beating everybody at 185 and just waiting for somebody to beat Anderson Silva. So what did the UFC do? They sent him back to 205, given an opponent that he should be able to beat. A tough opponent, but one he should be able to beat. And I'm talking about Matt Hamill. Matt Hamill's 5-0. That's right. I said it. 5 wins, no losses. Matt Hamill has never lost in MMA. He has a knockout win or a TKO win over Tim Boetsch, and he had a clear decision win over Michael Bisping. He also had 3 other wins including his MMA debut that was in the Ultimate Fighter finale. But yeah, 5-0 Matt Hamill, big, strong wrestler. He's looking to make moves in the 205 division. That's tough to do considering just how stacked this division is. There are a lot of dudes in the 205 division that probably are way too much for Hamill to handle. But hey, can't hate for trying, you know what I mean? More power to him. Now, this is definitely the toughest test Hamill will be facing, and it's his best and most well-rounded opponent. Rich Ace Ventura Franklin has 12 KOs and 9 submissions in his 23 wins. He only went to the decision 2 times in all of his fights. His third loss, by the way, was to Machida in a fight where Machida finished the fight. That was back in 2003. Anyways, I see Hamill not winning this fight, mainly due to cardio. If somebody could tell me right now that Hamill is going to come to this fight in complete shape and he will not gas throughout the entire fight, I put my money on Hamill. I say, okay, Hamill's going to go out, he's going to take him down, he's going to control him, he's going to do that for 15 minutes. But after that sloppy-ass fight with Tim Boetsch that I saw, where both dudes retired at the beginning of the second, and after I've seen what he's done in the past, he does tend to fall off as the fight goes on. I think Franklin will be able to do exactly what he did to Luter, minus almost losing by the armbar part, minus that. Franklin will use strikes, he'll stay fresh, and eventually fatigue will kick in, and that's about the time that Franklin will follow suit. Third round TKO for Franklin. Again, a huge shot at a chance at breakthrough for Hamill. You know, this is the biggest fight of his life by far. Up next, Cairo Parisian versus Yoshiyuki Yoshida. This is a good fight. This is a really good fight, one I've been looking forward to since I heard it was announced. Parisian, 18-5, coming off a loss to Thiago Alves, in a fight where, you know, he was knocked out, fell limp to the floor, was awakened by punches, and then got mad that the ref tried to save his life. Come on now. Dude, you are out. He's a great fighter, but I can't stand when people make excuses. Anyways, he's got notable wins over Chonan, Fickett, Berkman, Thompson, Serra, Liddell, Nick Diaz, which I don't agree with that decision, but whatever, and Shoney Carter. He was in line for the title shot, it seemed like, 100 times. No, really, 1 time for sure, 2 times possibly. All he had to do was win that fight. That if you win this fight, you get the title shot. The first time he won the fight and still didn't get the title shot. But I mean, damn. The welterweight title has been more elusive to Cairo than never mind. He's a judo fighter, a judoka fighter, and he believes his throws are the best throws in the world. And he's also tone deaf. You know what I'm talking about. He'll be fighting another judoka fighter in Yoshiyuki Yoshida. He's on a 9-fight winning streak. He's got 6 KOs, 2 submissions, and his most notable win is over Katsuya Inoue. Yoshida was the winner of the Cage Force welterweight tournament, and in his UFC debut, choked out Copenhagen. A lot of people didn't know who the guy was. They thought War Machine was gonna. No, man, no. That was an easy call. That was easy. I wish the bookies didn't know about that and put Copenhagen as the favorite, because I would have bet the house. That's right, or the apartment. Anyways. This is being billed as a judo versus judo fight, but really it's MMA. I don't think anybody really believes that this is going to be just a whole bunch of throws. Their strengths will most likely cancel out the judo game. I mean, we might be treated, to those of us who like judo like myself, we might be treated to one nice hip throw. But I see this being a stand-up fight with Yoshida as the victor. That's right. If it goes to the ground, it's going to be interesting. Parisian has 9 submission wins. Yoshida, though he has finished most of his fights by KO, he also has a great ground game. So, on the feet, I'm giving the edge to Yoshida. This is where I think the fight will be determined. I see Yoshida busting up Parisian and getting the TKO in round 2. I really hope this is a good fight. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Again, a chance at breakthrough breakthroughing. I'm just playing around. It's a chance for Yoshida to break through against a UFC vet that a lot of people know. Up next, I've been waiting for this fight. I was kind of hurt when I heard about the fight too. Dan Henderson versus Husamir Polaris. This is a sick matchup. Let's start with Dan Henderson. Definitely one of the best middleweights on earth. 22 wins, 7 losses. He just fights the best guys over and over again. He fought both Nogueira brothers. He fought back in 1998, and what was it? And won the UFC middleweight tournament against Carlos Newton. He defeated Ivel, Sobral, and Big Nogueira all in one night in a rings tournament. He lost to Vanderlei Silva in his in his Pride debut. But then he beat Murillo Ninja Hua. I'm just talking about the big fights. I'm leaving out the ones in the middle. He lost the rematch against Big Nog. He lost to Arona. Then he KO'd Bustamante. He lost to Lil Nogueira. KO'd Chonan with a nasty right, I think it was. KO'd Akira Gono. Beat Vitor Belfort. Avenged his loss to Vanderlei Silva and became the middleweight and welterweight Pride champion. Then, Pride crashed. He got signed to the UFC, continued his ways of fighting only the best, and then came up short twice against Rampage and Anderson Silva. And now he's at the point where he's got no belts. He's 0-2 in his last 2 fights. He's 0-2 in his UFC contract. And whenever you go 0-3 on the UFC contract, they normally drop you. If people think Polaris is an easy win, they're dead wrong. Dan is a great wrestler with one hell of an overhand right. He's only been subbed 3 times, once by each Nogueira brother, and then by Anderson Silva, who was actually taught jiu-jitsu by the Nogueiras. Polaris, he's gonna try and make it 4 submissions. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner with an 8-1 record, 6 coming by submission. He's a very, very strong middleweight. He will be a very tough a tough test for Decision Dan. Paul Harris has only lost once. That was in 2006. It was Decision, and he's got wins over at the time, and even now, still much more experienced. Flavio Luis Mora, shoot boxes, Daniel Acasio, and he also had a win over Fabio Nagao, who just fought at Affliction. His dominance over these very experienced guys and very tough Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters, it shows the level that this guy is really on. In his UFC debut, he made quick work of Ivan Salveri and with a beautiful armbar. I'm pretty sure he had his back, and then he transitioned perfect to an armbar. This fight's a tough one for me. I traditionally always root for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy just because I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I also recognize the talent and potential of Paul Harris, but Dan Henderson is a beast, and he's one of my favorite fighters. I also don't want him to get kicked out of the UFC, though he will probably get signed by Affliction. They probably would set up a rematch with Belfort or Nogueira. He'd still get paid. They'd probably treat him better. Actually, it's probably not that. Look, I'm going for decision Dan here. I got to. He's my boy. Not really my boy, but, you know. This fight is probably going to look a lot like Linland versus Nagao from the Affliction ban card. The difference, Dan will look better than Linland. Not like look, but like perform. You know what I'm talking about. And Paul Harris will be a lot more dangerous than Nagao was. I think this fight will go to the decision. It'll be a war, most likely a wrestler versus jiu-jitsu. I think Henderson's wrestling skills, submission defense, and top game will be his key to victory. And I don't think Paul Harris will want to stand with Hollywood Henderson. If somehow, you know, Paul Harris does end up winning this, it's definitely going to be submission of the night. I really want a great fight here. It looks good on paper. Time will tell. Breakthrough for both. Paul Harris will cement himself as a true contender at 205, and Henderson needs to break through with a win. All right, on to the next fight. Marquardt versus Campman. Just for the record, until I see otherwise, the dirtiest fighter of 08 is Marquardt. I mean, he hasn't proven to be dirty in the past, but against Tavis Liddell, he first kneed him square in the jaw before he was even off the ground. Then he elbowed him in the back of the head, and it was behind the head. 2 points subtracted from the judges. And then he should have been DQ'd for blatantly pile driving dude on his dome with just seconds left in the fight. It was clearly an attempt to KO the fighter with an illegal move. And Rogan was like, wow, look at that power. And I was like, wow, look at that illegal ass move. Disqualify him. Thank God he lost the fight. He definitely did not deserve to win. Cheating doesn't always prosper. It does prosper sometimes, though, but it didn't there. Marquardt, 26-8 with 14 wins coming by way of submission. Although a Pancrase champion and a really good fighter, you know, no hating here, he has actually never looked that great in the UFC. He had decision wins over Salivary, Dirksen, and Lister. He submitted an old and likely finished Jeremy Horn and also Crafton Wallace. He has losses to Anderson Silva by way of rape and Talis Lightus by way of justice. He wants to get back on the winning track, and in order to do that, he'll have to beat Martin Campman. 17-2 with 10 submissions. Fights out of Denmark. Hasn't lost a fight since a cut in an M1 tournament in 2004. He's 4-0 in the UFC. He's got decision win over Lightus and submissions over Jorge Rivera, Drew McFederys, and, yes, Crafton Wallace. Very crafty matchmaking, guys. Though I'm pulling like nobody's business for Campman, I have to go with Marquardt on this one. I think it'll be A, too big, B, too strong, and C, a combination of too big and too strong. Really, just too big and too strong. It'll likely be a unanimous decision for Marquardt. It's a tough fight to call. They face very similar competition and have had similar outcomes. This, again, a really big chance for breakthrough for Campman. And really, as long as nothing crazy goes on, like illegal stuff, it could be a potential fight of the night. All right, on to the undercard. Thiago Tavares versus Kurt Pellegrino. Both guys coming off losses. Tavares to Wyman. Pellegrino to Double Bird flipping Nate Diaz in one of my favorite submissions of the year. Both guys don't want to lose the second in a row. Tavares is 3-2 in the UFC. Hasn't really had a good showing since his submission over Jason Black over a year ago. He even went to a decision with Michihiro Omigawa, which had to be a package deal with Nakamura and really has no business fighting in the UFC. I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. He's entertaining to watch in like weigh-ins and stuff, But come on now. Pellegrino is in a similar situation. He's 3-3 in the UFC, no notable wins, but he does share a submission loss with Junior Asuncao. That's a name I don't understand. Anyways, they both lost by submission to Nate Diaz. Junior Asuncao has been cut since, and Pellegrino's not looking to go that same route. Both these guys have most of their wins coming by submission. I think this is going to be a grappling match, and I think I'm going to have to go, though a tough call, I'm going to go with Tavares here. I see Tavares winning this by a gritty decision, hopefully looking something like Tavares Griffin, but just with Tavares as the winner. It's a good fight. It should be a good fight. Up next, Matt Brown versus Dong Hyun Kim. Matt Brown, according to the Ultimate Fighter series, this guy was the toughest dude in the world. Like, one guy was like, the last thing I would ever want is for Matt Brown to be pissed with me, or something like the last guy I would ever want to fight in the world is Matt Brown. Like, what? The way they hyped up this dude, you would have thought like Fedor and Brock Lesnar had a baby, and like it was trained by the ghost of Bruce Lee, a younger Ali, and Rickson Gracie himself. Like, you would have thought that like Jesus like took up MMA and like trained for like the last 2,000 years and was making his MMA debut in the UFC and had like the Holy Spirit and the Father in his corner. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Anyways, that hype is over. Look for Kim to crush Matt Brown and rival Chuck for the KO of the night bonus. I mean, if Chuck gets the KO, it's going to be a KO of the night bonus just because he's Chuck. But I'm expecting a knockout. Dude will stay undefeated. He'll continue up the ladder. I want Kim to have like a bigger test in his next fight. I want the guy to succeed in the UFC. I want to see how he does against not top competition yet, but better competition. Ghost, on to the next fight. Jason Lambert versus Jason McDonald. Not Jason Day, who he's supposed to fight. And I heard if the newest Jason gets injured between now and next week, that they're gonna just bring in like Jason from like Freddy versus Jason, which is probably an unfair fight. So let's hope everything stays the way it is right now. McDonald, fresh off his submission loss to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu whiz kid Damian Maia. I say kid, but you know what I mean. He's back in the octagon less than a month later. This is a different fight for McDonald, though. He will not be outclassed in jiu-jitsu, and he can try to implement his strengths without getting owned, which basically what was the problem last time. These two probably, have the most fights between them on the card if you add up all their fights. And Lambert has 31, McDonald has 30. Lambert has lost 3 of his last 4, all by KO. He's never been submitted. I think that Lambert is going to win this one by knockout in the second round. I do believe McDonald is actually the better fighter, but I think, again, style matchups are set up better for Lambert. He has the KO power. He has the ability to just catch you and knock you out. And I think he's going to catch McDonald in the second round. Tim Boetsch versus James Lee. Boetsch is an okay wrestler. Definitely better than average. Powerful hands and is overall very strong. But he gasses quick. And is it just me or does he look real sloppy in the cage? Like, even in wins, like, he lost an ugly match against Hamill. Like, he was doing all right, throwing knees, and then gassed. Like, he is like the car was full of gas, turned the corner and was out of gas and couldn't even get up the hill. It was an ugly match, and then he won in an ugly match against David Heath. Tim Boetsch is going to be fighting James Lee, and one sure thing, I think, is that this is going to be an ugly fight. James Lee is an All-American wrestler with 10 of his 13 wins coming by submission. So he's got ground game. He's got quick submission. I think it was a heel hook. He's fighting out of like Michigan. He just lost to Sakara in his last fight. And the biggest thing about that fight was he went for the takedown. He fought like hell for the takedown. Like, it honestly felt like the next day he got the takedown, and then, but like, couldn't get to a better position. It's like, I'm here now, and the Sakara just popped back up. And then he did it again. And like, it felt like a week later, he got the takedown, and then Sakara got back up. But then it was like, it seemed like James Lee was like gassed. He got punched in the head a few times and kind of just stayed on his hands and knees and got punched in the head a bunch of times and the fight was over. If Boetsch gets a hold of Lee, he'll end it fast. And it might not be ugly. If not, he's going to gas, most likely, and it's anybody's call. In the end, I got to go with Boetsch catching Lee with an uppercut. The odds of that are probably higher than Lee taking down Boetsch and submitting him. He probably will get a takedown, but, you know, then again, it's hard to tell because how is Boetsch off his back? I'm going to have to stick with Boetsch with a KO. What round? Probably round 1. I don't see this going on for too long. This is another fight that like could deliver like a big knockout. Tough calls for the KO of the night. I don't think submission of the night is a tough call. It's probably going to go to Roan Carneiro over Rio Chonan. Both guys are MMA vets. Chonan already lost to Carneiro in deep. Carneiro is 2-2 in the UFC with a disappointing submission loss to Kevin Freddy Krueger eye poke Burns. You remember. That's how he throws his jabs. He definitely wants to get back in the win column. Chonan lost his last fight against Parisian, and he's in the same situation. He wants to get a win. He wants, to try and do his thing. I've got Carneiro winning this one, though. I'm going to say by submission just because he's so good on the ground, but really he could beat him standing like he did the last time. By the way, am I the only one that thinks Chonan looks like a piranha? Just take a look. Like, download a picture of a piranha, and then download a picture of Carneiro, of Chonan, and put them on your screen side by side. I'm telling you, I think this dude is some kind of a mix. Anyways, fight of the night, that's tough. Really, fight of the night, KO of the night, submission of the night, always kind of hard to call. Anything can happen. It's a fight. These are professionals. I'm gonna go with Henderson Polaris with possible fight of the night. I hope so. Anyways, UFC 88 breakthrough. Great night of fights. Lots of opportunities for fighters. Again, kudos to the matchmaking. I'll see you guys immediately after the show for the review. And you already know, right? MMA is important, y'all. It's important. Peace.